What if you could go directly to the source for all of your questions regarding what is it really like to become a state or national title holder? In this episode, we're going to be talking all about how to get the inside scoop of exactly that. In fact, this is something that I've never talked about before, but for both my titles of Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA, I inherently did this. And I don't know if this is just the sales queen in me, but both times I had an absolute amazing conversation with the current title holders that really let me know what the heck I was walking into, because both times I won, it was the first time that I competed in that pageant system. So roll up your sleeves. We're going to talk all about it today. Welcome to the Powerhouse Podcast. All right. So again, a little bit of backstory. When I was Miss Nebraska, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. It was my first time competing in a quote unquote big girl pageant. If you guys watched last week's episode, you know that I competed in NAM when I was 11, and it was so embarrassing. I should try to find pictures, or maybe I shouldn't. But I had no idea what I was doing. Definitely didn't place, and eventually placed in the future, but was in way over my head. And then I competed in ANSO once, and then NAM again and got first runner-up. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Then took a bunch of years off pageants. Really never thought I'd do them again. And then Miss Nebraska, the Miss America system, fell into my lap as something that I felt was meant for me. And so I was living in Nashville at the time, going to music school. I was a voice major and doing my thing, focusing on my artistry, focusing on working super hard in school. And I was in a sorority and all of that. And yeah, I really didn't have pageants on my radar. And as many of you guys know the story, I had a huge mental breakdown after my freshman year of college and really needed a goal to pursue that would help show me the next level for myself and really give me a reason to get out of the pit that I was in. And so for me, that actually became pageants, and it was really beautiful. And so lo and behold, I go into this Miss Nebraska system, and I won my local, and I was never afraid to ask questions. And I think this is a really important thing, because so many people that I coach on a daily basis are, for some reason, afraid to ask for help. And I think that there's this perception, unfortunately, because sometimes local directors are not the most mature or emotionally intelligent human beings. If you're listening to this, you're probably extremely emotionally intelligent, because you're here showing up, growing, making yourself better, not coming from a place of I know everything or faking like you do know everything, and it's really just arrogance masked in insecurity. And so anyways, I just went in totally naive, like a baby, being like, okay, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions because I don't want to make a fool of myself. What a concept. And unfortunately, when people have maybe had their hand slapped for asking questions, or God forbid, if there's crazy going on where they don't want you to know what's behind the curtain, or they just don't have the answer because they don't have their poop in a group, then I think sometimes people will subconsciously take that and project that into every experience in the future. And they think that's how everything's going to be in the future, when in reality, it's really good to just isolate that and tell yourself, hey, that was one experience, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't keep trying. That doesn't mean that asking questions is wrong or bad. In fact, the most successful people in the world ask questions 24/7 because they're curious. And curiosity might have killed the cat, but curiosity also helps people become tremendously successful, because solving problems makes you more money and helps you climb the ladder of success. What I did was I asked a bunch of questions. I remember still feeling very nervous at my local, because I had never even been to a Miss America pageant before. I had no idea the flow of it. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know if everybody was going to be mean to me, or if it was totally rigged and there was actually no chance to win, or whether I had to pay my dues, that kind of a thing. So I went in and won Miss Douglas County. I remember actually I won Miss Congeniality that time too, which is obviously the first time that had ever happened, because I don't think any other pageants that I had done even had Miss Congeniality. And so that was super fun. And then, yeah, here we are going to Miss Nebraska after that. And again, had never watched Miss Nebraska. Live stream really wasn't a thing back then. And so I didn't want to go in cold turkey. So what I did was I called JC Pilkington, now JC Petco, who was the Miss Nebraska before me. And I just said, hey, can we hop on a Zoom call and can I ask questions? I want to know, what's it actually like? And what do you feel has made your year successful? And What's the mental health side of things been like? And what's something different that you didn't expect? Now, here's something important to know. You may not be able to access the current title holder for a myriad of reasons. Number one, it might be contractual, like they can't give favoritism to you, and that could be seen as favoritism. Hopefully, you could even take this idea, especially if you're a new competitor, and ask your executive director, hey, could we have this current title do a Q&A with all the people that are about to compete, not just you, right? And then you just show up and ask the best questions and actually use what the title holder tells you. So that could be a way to get around it. But other than that, you might have more success with the title holder who was the years previous, because there's no like bias there, right? There's no way that could be seen as something affecting the score or unfair if you were to go on and win the next year. But also, if it's out of the goodness of your heart, you might as well try, and then let them set that boundary with you if that's not okay. Obviously, read your contract and all of that. So number one is finding that person really that you want to connect with, that you want to ask questions, and then coming ready, number two, with a list of questions, okay? So please don't be annoying. Don't ask stupid questions. People say there aren't stupid questions, but there are definitely questions you could have Googled yourself. Let's put it that way, okay? Make sure that you actually tried Googling these things ahead of time, and that these are more questions that you'd have to be there, or you have to be let behind the curtain to actually know the answer of. And maybe you've competed before, and so you now want to ask questions about what was going through your head as you did XYZ, and what is this like when you XYZ, and see if you can spot the differences. Ask questions that will point out the gaps and the differences between how that person prepared and how you prepared, if you are somebody that competed against them. What I love about this too is like there's a humility to that, where you're not only communicating with this person to get, but come in with genuine curiosity about this person. Come in with humility. If they give you your time, number three, buy them a Starbucks gift card or something. Please do something nice for people that give you their time, especially if they give you their time for free. A thank you card like that will go such a long way, because, and it's just good practice, honestly, as well. I believe that when you give, it's given back to you. What you sow, you'll reap, which is super powerful. So get in the habit of blessing people that want to be a part of your journey and are willing to lay down their lives and their time and their expertise and share their wisdom with you. Things not to do is do not, under any circumstances, ever ask if you can pick someone's brain. Let me tell you, someone does that to me several times a month, and it immediately makes me want to not be friends with them, because I've gone to too many coffee dates in my early 20s where I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And 100% of the time, and I'll tell you guys a story that was like the worst, but even in my 30s, 100% of the time, it was somebody that wanted to, quote unquote, take me out to lunch or take me out to coffee, which I don't know if this is just like a Midwestern thing, but if you say, I want to take you out to coffee, the same way that if a guy says, I want to take you out on a date, who do you think is paying for that? Now, call me old school, but if someone wants to take me out to coffee, I presume, again, not that I can't pay for something, not if it's like a friend of mine, hey, I want to take you out to coffee. That's not what I'm saying. But if specifically somebody wants to take me out so that they can pick my brain, and they know like I'm a business owner that charges XYZ or whatever, like just the honor. I can't imagine going into a meeting with someone, asking to extract wisdom information, use their time, which time is money. The richer people are, the more expensive their time is. The more wisdom people have, the more expensive their time is. Extracting wisdom from them, which is probably draining to them, and then not paying for that. Like, I just can't. So even as soon as a year ago, this was before, I think I was pregnant. I was pregnant with Willow, and Landon was currently at the hospital in chemo. I'll never forget this. And somebody asked me to lunch, asked if they could pick my brain about business. I almost was like, absolutely you can, and it's $1,000 an hour or whatever. But I didn't, and I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to believe the best. Like, I'm just going to, get lunch with this person. And they even use the language, pick your brain, and can I get you lunch? And so we go, and again, I can pay for my own stuff. That's not the point. But we get done with lunch. She provided absolutely zero value. She was just, boom, asking me for all this free business advice, which I gave her hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of advice. And we get to the time to pay the ticket, and she doesn't even for a second think of covering it, like at all. And it's just interesting how people can be intelligent, even really good looking, fit, all the things, and absolutely not get social dynamics, like at all, or even power dynamics. If I was going to lunch with Warren Buffett, I would wear my nicest outfit. I would come with a pen and paper, and I would ask questions and shut up. And I don't care what it costs, you know what I mean? Because the wisdom that he would give me from somebody worth billions and billions of dollars and the top 5 richest people in the world, it's not my time to talk. It's my time to serve, right? So when you're in that position, just like part of being a wise human being is knowing where you're at in the pack. And that's not coming from me thinking I'm the leader of the pack every time, all the time, at all. Like, I think it's really fun to be the person who gets to listen and learn. That's like my favorite place to be, actually. I love being the poorest person in the room. And my husband and I love to put ourselves in those rooms frequently so that we can learn, because we love to learn. So please just make a note of that. Don't be annoying and don't come unprepared. Don't waste people's time, because that is a great way to get them to never talk to you again and just not want to be around you, honestly, because you have to bring something to the table. Leaders bring value wherever they go, and they leave things better than they found them. So something as simple as a $5 gift card, offer to pay for the lunch that you have with them, or just Venmo them $10 and be like, hey, go get a nice coffee on me. That can go such a long way. And I guarantee you that person will be like, you'll never believe Megan Venmo'd me $10 today. That was so kind. And I had a great time talking with her. Man, she's one to look out for this year. So anyways, I had this talk with JC and it was amazing. And I took a ton of notes, and lo and behold, it really helped me compete that year, because I didn't feel like I was going in blind, because I didn't have the opportunity to watch a pageant before. I just had to go and do it. So it helped me to wrap my head around what I was walking into, the magnitude that I was walking into, the dynamics of what I was walking into. And she really helped me specifically. Now, this is 12 years ago, so I'm trying to remember, but she really helped me specifically with this doesn't matter, this does matter. If this happens, don't pay attention to it, because I trusted that she had been on the other side of things. And then the second person that I called was actually Teresa Scanlon as well, who had just won Miss America 3 years before that. And I'll never forget, we had a call as well, and it was wonderful. And we talked about being young. We talked about being from Nebraska. We talked about being somebody that nobody really saw coming, since she won on her first time as well, and obviously was the youngest Miss America ever. And yeah, it was really important that I came prepared to those things. And you can get a phenomenal amount of wisdom and information in the same way that you guys listen to this podcast, and you glean wisdom and information from that as well. Okay. Another thing that I want to say is don't expect anyone to help you. Okay. You might have to reach out to 10 people before you get a response. It might depend on how many followers you have. It might depend on what your profile looks like. Okay. So you might have to spray and pray a little bit in terms of reaching out to multiple people. But if you haven't hired somebody specifically as your coach or your mentor or whatever, no one is obligated to tell you the secrets to things. No one is obligated to anything. No one's entitled to anything in the same way that I'm not. You're not entitled to anything. And so I would go in with a neutral expectation, because then anything above neutral is going to be amazing and make you really happy. And then you're also super not disappointed if they don't text back or call back or whatever, because it's not personal, it's neutral. So just neutral, okay? Another thing too, if they do tell you anything inside of that conversation, especially if they tell you like, hey, this stays between us, just make sure that you're not a blabbermouth, okay? You don't want to be known as a gossip. You don't want to be known as somebody that people can't be authentic around, they can't be vulnerable around. And maybe they did share something in confidence with you that they didn't share publicly during their reign. Like maybe they really struggle with mental health, and that was not a part of the story that they told from stage. And that's not the time to then go post on Instagram stories the next day and be like, had such a vulnerable conversation with Megan Rhodes, Miss Nebraska 2014, who told me that she was dealing with blah, blah, blah. And I really resonated with that because I deal with XYZ too. Don't air other people's dirty laundry. If they have not expressly given you permission to share that, then I would definitely not recommend that at all, okay? On the very practical side of things, like in your reach out, make sure that you explain who you are, why you're contacting them, how much time you think that you might request or need with them. Hey, I would love to have 20 minutes of your time in exchange for a $15 Starbucks gift card to ask you 5 questions about your time as Miss South Carolina or whatever. So I would keep it to 20 to 30 minutes. Now, if she has more time, you guys get to gabbing and you end up building a lifelong friendship, then amazing. But I would come ready like with your questions and really try and set the expectation so that you're not, again, wasting that person's time. And then again, like I said, if there's something that you can like Google, don't ask those questions to them, because if you start off the bat, like that's going to be super frustrating to them. So really dive deep and ask about the things that you wanted to know. Like for me, it was partially about competition, but it was more about like, how'd you navigate these contracts? How'd you navigate these sponsorships? How'd you navigate the 10-week turnaround between Miss Nebraska and Miss America? Like I was already acting as if and wanted to know some of the specifics of those kinds of things, which is super cool. Okay. And then let's just say that nobody says yes to you and you can't find anybody specifically to speak to. Then use your eyeballs, use your eyes and ears. So do what you're doing right now, listen to podcasts, look for similarities amongst the character values as well as the aesthetic of individuals that have won in the past. So is there a consistent brand identity? How would you describe that? How would you describe the leadership attributes? How would you describe the character attributes? What are these threads that don't have to do as much with how tall they are, what color of hair, what color of eyes, what color of skin they have, but are more attributes that actually anybody can aspire to develop, anybody can master, and they're not fixed things that you're either born with or you're not. And I think that's a huge lie that a lot of people self-sabotage with because they think, oh, that's just not meant for me. And right, like for example, Miss Petite USA. I can't compete in Miss Petite USA because I'm 6 feet tall. So no matter how much I want to, if that was my dream pageant, it's still not happening, right? Now, I don't know what the opposite of petite is, Miss Tall USA. I would rock that all day, every day, right? So we do have to make sure that we are finding the right pageant for ourselves. But 9 times out of 10, it actually has nothing to do with the inherent hair color, eye color, whatever about a person. It just has to do with they've really developed their leadership and they're a strong communicator. They are confident and comfortable in their own skin, and they have passion, drive, commitment, and that competitive nature that makes them both interesting and interested. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys today. I'm excited that this is a new topic I haven't really talked about in the past. And as always, go to powerhousepageantry.com, brand new website, by the way, /free course to get your free pageant course. And I would love for our team to chat with you to help you win your pageant this year. For a lot of you guys, state pageants are coming up very quickly right now. So make sure that you go to sessions.powerhousepageantry.com /chat to watch a 35-minute video training from myself, as well as get to chat with my team. That's all for this week, you guys. I'll see you next time.